further with their next couple of picks. And I'm so heavily against the fact that Rogue went for this Saw first pick. At least the Lance will be able to provide a bit of CC, assuming that it doesn't just get blocked or Rose offensived out of or past. It could still be an option for Rogue to try and set things up and just make someone a sitting target for the Saw to start laying into.
I was expecting the last pick just because they lost on the Lyra last game, and this time, unlike last game, they don't have to dive on a target, so they don't need the portal. It's more about protecting the Saw, and Lance definitely does a better job of peeling for him with his Kithing Walls, with his Impales, especially against a triple melee composition. I'm actually surprised they picked up a Cruel against the Lance.
Pearl going to be the final lock-in here for Rogue. This is definitely a composition that's great at going against melee. I'm curious to see whether Rogue can pull this one off. They definitely heavily favored this Saw pick. This is something they're very confident in, and I guess we're going to find out whether they can execute this time around. What needs to change this time for this to be a successful composition?
Well, the fact that they aren't going to be trying to engage onto a Celeste as a group is already something that has drastically changed for this game, and it changed in favor of Rogue, but they're still up against a Blackfeather and a Krull with a Saw. Those two are both very strong into the Saw pickup.
I agree. I think the draft definitely worked better for Hammers for Rogue this time around, so they have better chances. What they will have to change, however, is executing on the early game and mid game a little bit better. Try to get more advantages, try to get more objectives to be able to get ahead. Get the items onto the Saw, then you become a lot more effective in teamfights.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this petal pick before we jump on in. How aggressive do we need to see this being? Is this something that could bully the Cruel, or is this just a matter of contesting those trees? Like, where are we going to see this jungle matchup going?
It should be actually in the lane. That's where the petal should be.
Oh, okay.
Clear out the jungle and immediately rotate up to the lane. Help the Saw try and push these turrets and take them down as quickly as they can.
I mean, if anything, she can push into the jungle as well. It would be pushing multiple points at the same time, and they could try to use that strategy as well.
All right, we'll
Both
see
can work.
where they are going to pressure on the map on this one. It's time to get into this one. Hashtag Vainglory8. Let us know whether you want this to be a 2-0 or if you want to see the Rogue come back. It's time to pass it over to our casters again and get on into game number 2 with Humanist and Dowsy.
Game 2 in this series, and I cannot stress to everybody how important this series is to both of these teams here. TSM, I think, is 1 point up in the overall point standings over Rogue right now. Rogue are going to die inside if they lose the series here to Hammers. Dowsy, this is insane.
Yeah, I think they're actually tied. They're 1 point up because Rogue haven't won the series yet. And if they were to win the series, then they would go back to Rogue being a point up in the standings. But, right now it's the Hollywood Hammers show. Status and Starting All Over Chicken as well have just shown that they have this Saw comp dealt with simply in the previous game. Very different composition coming out of them in this game. This is all about diving the Saw, whereas in the previous game it was about kiting it. We'll have to see if they can do that.
I want to see like an Olympic diver skin come out for one of these heroes, and then it would make a lot of sense. Maybe for the Blackfeather, he'd probably look pretty good in that swimsuit. But yeah, this is all about diving. I think it's pretty clear. You look at it, this is just going to be get on the Saw, execute him, and I see a whole bunch of Atlas Pauldrons in our future.
Oh, if the side of Hollywood Hammers don't have 3 Atlas Pauldrons, then they're probably doing something wrong. Just the ability to keep the attack speed on Hammy down at all periods of the team fight will be so crucial. Let's talk about Sibs though on this petal, because it's something very different on Rogue's composition. Previously, Rogue were the divers, now they're the kiters. This petal provides a lot of power in the team fights, especially if Sibs is able to stack that crystal power. Wouldn't be surprised to see him go triple Shatterglass, just make those Munions super tanky and the spontaneous combustion super impactful in team fights. Look to try and blow up both the Cruel and the Blackfeather as they dive onto Hammy. And if Hammy can find himself a bit more of a crit build,
That's pressing fire into the Impale. Starting all over with the Healing Flask, he's going to be okay. I guess Vanguard as well. A lot of sustained durability coming out. Status knocked back by Evil, buying a second for Hammy to go ahead and reposition there.
I thought for sure that could have been a kill. Iron Guard contract helped, but Status says
another
something.
Vanguard. Hammy's got his own Healing Flask. Healing Flask is pretty good, Dowsy. Chicken, he'll get chunked with the turret. He goes down. Hammy gets blasted. That first blood coming through for Rogue, and feels like a bit of a mistake there, maybe.
Chicken didn't use his flask. You said it's a pretty good item. Well, It's especially good when turrets are raining down on you. The shield and the heal may have just been enough to keep him alive. Chicken may have gone down to auto attacks afterwards, but probably should have used it. An advantage to the Saw is not what Hammers want to be giving.
I see Hammy using the suppressing fire almost better than anybody. You touched on it before, but we'll come back to that in a second. Sibs trampolining back. Look at the Seeds doing good work. His status tries to chase for it. He's doing quite all right with Chicken there, giving him the Vanguard. They have the sustain. And with that Spectral Smite, he's a happy camper, a healthy camper as well. Look at that suppressing fire on 2. The harass is so good. This is what I'm saying about Hammy on this Saw. Evil, he's going to find a stun, but the Vanguard out on his status on Evil. There you go. Chops him down, activating that Spectral Smite. He'll get it. Sibs using his boots. He'll drop a seed to try and peel status off, but status has got a double kill on this Cruel, and that's not what you want to see if you're Rogue.
Very disrespectful from Rogue to think that they could take that fight against Status. Typically, Petal is very good into Cruel because you can kite her, but she was very low health in the previous fight. And Status was able to deal with the invaders into his jungles fairly well. Sibs, though, will get some crystal power into his system. That was where he was going wrong. Didn't really have too much to his name. Will make the fights a little bit more even in the future. But you kind of just see that Status is very comfortable taking those early game fights if he has that health advantage against the Petal. One of the things that used to make Petal very good into Crew was Frostburn. No longer does Frostburn proc on all attacks or Munions now, so you don't see Frostburn prioritized on Petal anymore. However, with enough crystal power, the Munion damage and tankiness might be enough with the spontaneous combustion to keep that counter pick alive.
Plenty of crystal and weapon power here for Rogue as they take this turret down just under 4.5 minutes in. Small net worth advantage building for Rogue, but I mean, we've seen this Saw work before. You got to keep the pedal to the metal.
Yeah, and I really don't want to see a Serpent's Mask come out of Hammy. The statistics on this build just shows that it is weaker than going full crit, and especially in the previous game where Rogue's game plan was dive Celeste and try and blow her up instantly, just didn't synergize very well. An argument could be made in this game that a Serpent's Mask is useful into the Black Feather and the Cruel who are going to be diving on top of you, so the sustain might keep you alive. But I think especially Rogue, their game plan is to burst down Hammers before they really get too close with the range advantage that they have on this Petal and this Saw. The spontaneous combustion can provide healing as well as a good dissuadant to diving the Saw as well, and with a Lance as well, almost like the premier peeling captain with the Giffian War, and I suspect Evo will prioritize an Echo fairly early on into his build. Rogue's win conditions are actually much better this game, and the Saw first pick isn't as costly as it was in the previous. Have to see if Hammers can execute their dive perfectly. We see Tension Bow on status, Serpent's Mask on starting all over. Items have been purchased. There is also that Shatterglass for Sibs to mention.
More minion candies being used. Status has got an infusion. He's going to be stunned up by Evil. A nice Githian wall. Hammy stutter stepping backwards, and he's got a kill. Starting all over is down. Status dropping low. Hammy, he lost the spin up, but he's going to get. Status gets knocked back, and a double kill comes through. The double kill for Sibs here. Sibs making the play, using that spontaneous combustion, effectively healing and damaging his healing his team, damaging his opponents. That's going to be a second turret for Rogue.
Yeah, this is why Petal's so good into melees, because the spontaneous combustion is very likely going to happen on your teammate as well as your enemy, so you're getting double buck, and this is why a double Shatterglass is even more perfect, because the healing and the spontaneous combustion will do even more damage. So this is why I suspect Sibs will just, you know, only have one item in his inventory especially, and it'll be Shatterglass. Right now, Rogue are showing the power of their composition, you know, the ability to survive, and actually this is something very surprising in the inventory of Hammy. His defense, a metal jacket, was his second tier 3,
wow,
showing lots of respect to status and starting all over in this double weapon power composition. And I feel like this tension bow on status could be a bit of an error, especially if he was to have seen the armor being built up in the inventory of Hammy. A bone saw would have been far more impactful for the team, but perhaps hindsight is 2020.
Indeed. I really like this item choice coming out of Hammy here. Incredibly smart. He's already pumping out serious damage. He goes for the level 7 infusion, Sibs as well. And Rogue, they take this gold mine. They are in a great position now. 4K net worth up over Hammers here, 7.5 minutes in. We talked about the importance of winning this series, but winning this game for Rogue. It's a big deal. Rogue playing like it right now.
Yeah, they cannot afford to lose games in round one this deep into the competition. It would put TSM above them, and even if TSM were unable to win the weekend, they would have a point advantage on Rogue, making their world dreams a little harder, and Rogue's week 4 just even more important. So take control of your destiny now, win game 2 of this series, and bring it to an even stance. It's exactly what Rogue are aiming for. 2 turrets already captured for them, pushing this choke point turret. And you see Hammers have kind of realized that their power is not quite there. Starting all over, doesn't have the breaking point, is 100 gold away from it, and he's put it into an infusion. Hammers know they have to fight around this choke point turret. The question is, do they have the damage to do so?
You see the infusion come out for starting all over here. I thought maybe that was a signal that they were going to try to jump on top of Rogue, but maybe just a tool for them to buy a little bit more time, allow themselves to come online and stall out the push out of Rogue. I mean, Rogue, it was with a push comp, with the Saw, when they took the game off of Hammers last week. It's a very similar story here.
Yeah, and the difference is that Hammers have kind of drafted a composition which is about diving, and when you dive onto the Saw, it allows Evil to be the playmaker for his team. The Githian wall can just be so impactful, whereas in the previous game, Hammers weren't attempting to dive, they were attempting to kite, and Evil was making the plays to try and put Rogue in range of the Celeste. I feel like this game is about Evil.
From Hell's Heart, blocked. Oh, they canceled off the Gauntlet. Evil's a god. What a Githian wall. Sims trampolines forward, trying to find the damage. Status goes down first. Now Rogue, Chase, look for more. Githian wall's not going to find the stun there, but Evil has already done enough. How delicious was that Githian wall?
It's absolutely a perfect play from Evo, and it's exactly what I'm trying to highlight here, Humanist, is the fact that when Hammers are attempting to dive, it allows Evo to be the playmaker. And you can see it just so impactful there. This turret will go down, but Hammers looking for a re-engage.
Spontaneous combustion comes out of Sims, but the Munion's not really in place. They want Hammy. He's not spun up, but he's going to try to stutter step here. You see exactly, this is where Hammers are going to start to maybe take an advantage. Starting all over, has breaking point still infused up. They're going to chase forward. Looks like Evo will be the second target. Double kill comes through. Both of those going over to status on the Kroll, and Hammers maybe finding some signs of life here.
Yeah, they certainly are, but is it enough? Is it too late for Hammers? Already their choke point is down at this 10-minute mark, and Hammers, really what they can find here is 600 gold for the team. 600 gold will bring them close to a 3,000 deficit, but look at that item purchase for Evo. It's so impactful. A Echo. You see Hammy block up that Hell's Heart. If he was to go down there, then it would have been a gold miner for Hammers, but the fact that he blocked it means that that gold miner will remain on the map.
Just a pretty straightforward block right there. Starting, cheekily grabbing the mid camp right in front of Rogue. Glad to see that it didn't get locked down there. Status just clearing through his own jungle. I'm assuming Starting will go ahead and take that back rotation with him as well. We're 11 minutes in. Net worth advantage still going to Rogue. Dowsy, you pointed out choke point turret is down. Does that change anything for Rogue? Are they still just going to shove down this lane, or maybe do you pull back and look for some more objectives on the map?
Yeah, the worst place for Rogue to fight is actually in the base of Hammers. It's super open and lands can't be nearly as impactful. So Rogue are trying to pick fights in the jungle like this.
Suppressing fire, Sims trampolines forward and they destroy Starting all over. Oh my goodness.
Couldn't get my point out quick enough, Humanist, but Rogue basically demonstrated it. If they can force gold miners, force sentries, and bring Hammers to them, then this is where Evol's lands will shine. When they're in the base, it is just basically open ground. There's not really much to knock anyone against, and that's where Evol needs to be fighting. So you're going to see Rogue continuously rotating around the jungle and trying to force Hammers to come to them.
Rogue, pretty much textbook rotations here. They find the kill. I mean, the kill baiting in from taking the gold miner. They get the gold miner, they take the crystal sentry, drop right back to the shop. Everybody's picking up all their items. Rogue look like they have everything they need right now. A fresh infusion will come out for Sibs as well. He didn't go with that double Shatterglass. He went Dragon's Eye, second item, but I think it's still pretty good for him here.
Dragon's Eye, if after 4 seconds of being in combat, out, outdoes Shatterglass as far as crystal power is concerned, so it is definitely a very good second item. It doesn't provide the immediate impact that a Petal wants, but considering that the roster of hammers is actually very tanky, a Cruel, a Black Feather, and an Arden, then you're probably not going to burst anyone down instantly, so the Dragon's Eye will just allow for a bit of extra gold efficiency on Sibs, and it makes a lot of sense as well. Hammers realistically need to just not fight here. If Rogue don't get team fights for the next 3 minutes, then it's going to get Hammers up to a place with gold where they can look to try and blow up Hammy. But if they're to fight Rogue in the jungle, it's what Rogue wants, then it puts Hammers further behind.
You can tell it looks like Starting wants to fight, but they're in a bad place. I mean, Starting takes 75% of his health bar in damage before the fight even really kicks off. Sibs just trolling Starting out. He's like, oh my goodness, this is how a sub plays right here, bud. You're a starter for your team? Well, I don't really care. Sibs single-handedly forcing Hammers back into their own base. Rogue have control of this game.
Yeah, and they're going to take another Crystal Sentry for themselves. Not only that, they're going to choke out Status, who hasn't got tanky enough and doesn't have enough damage yet to be super impactful. Has that Blazing Salvo in his inventory. I wonder what he puts it into. Breaking Point or Poison Shiv could be the options. If he was to go towards Bonesaw, then he basically makes his Tension Bow useless, as Armor Pierce items no longer stick. And so the item that has more Armor Pierce takes over, and you just have those unique passives being the crit, or the big burst of damage Tension Bow provides, being the only thing Tension Bow would actually be doing. Hammers are playing very aggressive here. They're trying to keep the minion wave down, but a good Impale may cause Hammers to run away. And you see that they're not really looking to engage fights here. It's because they can't. Starting all over, hasn't got the Bonesaw. He doesn't have an Aegis. He's not very tanky. Status doesn't have an Aegis either, making Sib's life a playground for this Petal, basically.
Playground for the Petal, indeed. Sibs is having a good time. 3-1-1 on this Petal here, 14.5 minutes in. Now, Rogue have control of the map, control of the game, but this Kraken's going to be spawning very shortly, and it feels like that's going to be a point where Hammers absolutely have to make a stand. And also, Dowsy, I just feel like it's been a little bit of hesitation out of Hammers in and around these fights where they're looking for an opening, but then they just allow Rogue to find the chip damage onto them.
Yeah, and this is the issue, is that Hammers are all in or nothing. They can't really afford to do anything else. And to be honest, until the Kraken is threatened, it has to be nothing. Even when the Kraken is taken, there's an argument made that Hammers do nothing about it, but I'm sure Starting All Over will want to go in. You know, Petal's voice line is, I bet they will underestimate me. Right now, Sibs is having a massive game.
Two-man Githine wall to start things off. It's going to be a gauntlet, but they've already lost Starting All Over. Rogue are in it to win it here in Game 2. I think very low chances we're going to see Hammers walk away with a W.
There's almost no possibility that a win comes out for Hammers in the next 10 minutes of this game. So that kind of just shows how far behind Hammers are from hitting a point where their composition can contest Rogue. And right now, Rogue have a Kraken on the board. They're looking for Status. They're not going to quite find him. Maybe they just eliminate the Crystal Sentry just in case the game lasts longer than this Kraken push. This is it. Last chance opportunity, and Gauntlet is down for the next 50 seconds. It will not be available, Humanist, for the next team fight. One of the major engage tools of Hammers is not available. They have that from Hell's Heart. It's going to have to be perfect from Status, or this is GG, an equalized series.
Am I wrong in just feeling like they need to just go onto Saw? I mean, okay, they start out on the Kraken here. Suppressing fire is down. A little bit of damage coming in from range out of Hammy. Hammy's going to move forward now into range where Status can close the gap. The call has been made. Hammers, they try to get on, but a 3-man get the ball into the spontaneous combustion combo here. Rogue blowing Status up. They'll take Starting All Over down as well. Literally no threat coming out of Hammers. Chicken, he'll surrender his life here to Rogue, who played like gods in Game 2, and this series is going to be tied up 1-1. What a performance out of Rogue.
Incredible performance from Rogue and spectacular play from Evil. No wonder FlashX said this is the guy to watch. A playmaker has been born here in the Vainglory 8 autumn season, and Evil is his name. On that lance, so impactful, so deliberate whenever Hammers went for their engaged, and just meant Hammy was super safe. The unsung hero of this game has to be Sibs as well. Just completely underestimated. His damage was true. No shielding really built up by Hammers whatsoever. And Rogue Rogue equalizing this series means that it's a spicy one indeed.
It's a real spicy one indeed.